Hey you guys, it's MJ from OUTUBE. How are you? So this morning's transmish is really all about this Venus in retrograde, which we're in now, and how this is really churning up. I guess how I'm feeling it is like deeper, more powerful threads of like the divine feminine energy in the collective. That's really rising up now to purge what some people are calling the kind of the end of time or the end of cycles or the completion of the end of time cycle. This is literally, I'm just making this up as I go along. But as we close down these, the multitude of karmic cycles that we're in across various historical timelines, what's happening from within us as beings is that we're coming into balance. So all of our like unworthiness, all of our lack of love, all of our distorted perception, all of our control patterns, all of our lack of love, all of our distorted perception, all of our control patterns, all of our patterns that are aligned with the old paradigm or the patriarchy are being purged from within us. And so we're really asking ourselves to step into our truth, to step into our worth, to step into our knowing, and to step into our divine. So our divine, because typically or historically it's the feminine that's been oppressed, or the female gender that's been pushed down, oppressed, persecuted, that's the energy which is now coming up with like a proper power to be like, hell no. Like, it's like the mother, right? It's like the great grandmother. It's the great mother. It's like the elders. It's the ancients of this earth realm suddenly standing up against any corruption, any darkness, any lack of worth, any manipulation, any greedy kind of control tactics, and wiping the slate clean. Because we can't move forward in the direction that we're moving in with those same entangled, disempowered threads that most of us have been carrying and acting out for most of our lives. So when we share on this level, it's always important for me to kind of connect in, like, how does this look? What does this mean? We talk about collective energies. We talk about, certainly in like astrological terms, we talk about how the planetary energy is reflecting back to us what's happening on, and then what's happening in our personal lives, how that relates to a broader collective shift or a broader collective awakening. So usually when I'm coming to share like this, it's because I've had another massive wave, and when we talk about waves, we're talking about emotional waves that come through our beingness that are showing us disempowered patterns, lack, fear, control, whatever it might be, that feels like contracted, that feels tight, that feels petty, that feels small. And then we're claiming back the truth of our knowing. We're claiming back, no, this is who I am, and this is my power, and this is what I know I am. And no one else can then dictate you otherwise. No one else can take you off that power seat. But sometimes we have to really face the pattern itself, or we have to suddenly look at the pattern and disentangle some of those threads. That's what's uncomfortable in our personal lives, is when we have to, imagine like an organism has been feeding on another organism, and then that organism's getting ready to pop off. Well, that organism pops off. This one then goes, I need to feed. I need another host, right? I need another thing that I can feed off of. Unless we really integrate those energies, unless we really like stand in our truth and stand in our power and say, yes, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to own this. I'm going to transform this shit. I'm going to, step into the truth of who I know I am, rather than riding on someone else's coattails or feeding off of somebody else, or just simply defaulting back into old patterns. So defaulting back into where we used to be, or what we used to believe about ourselves or other people. So we're moving through, and then again, I watched something that reflected back something that I just intuitively said without even realizing I was saying it, but like a 2,000 year, a 26,000 year, a 6,500 year, like we have all of these cycles upon cycles that are coming to a karmic close, which means a completion. And we're it totally makes sense, all the eclipses we've had, and then also all of these planets going in retrograde. That's why we've had all of these reviews. This is why we've had all of this time, these last few months, and then these last couple years, because there's been like a 2-year cycle as well. So all of these cycles now that we've been able to, like, over the last 9 months and 6 months and 3 months and we've been like, review, let's go over this now, let's go over this now, let's go over this now. And now we're in the kind of final retrograde of Venus, which is the divine feminine, which is the love and our worth, and like, what are we really worth, and what are we really going to love about ourselves, and how can we extend that love, and how can we receive that love, right? So this Venus retrograde it's not comfortable. I'm just saying this, I'm just going to put it out there right now. Like, this depth, this Venus, this feminine, this love, this depth that we have is ultimately what we've been in denial of for so long. So for us to go into the depths and then dig out our deepest, darkest shit, basically, and then shine light onto it and go, I'm not going to feed that monster anymore. I'm not going to feed that lack. I'm not going to feed that self-pity. I'm not going to feed that whatever. Or the other end, I'm not going to feed that manipulative. I'm not going to feed that control pattern or that fear pattern anymore. And then we integrate the energies and we rise like the Venus, the true goddess, right? We rise like the true high priestess or the goddess that we are, rather than a kind of goddess pretending to be a goddess, but actually kind of feeding the underworld, secretly kind of feeding the underworld, rather than standing in the purity of her light, right? So we're seeing that, and personally, there's a lot of different angles. Like, there's new aspects coming in, which I know are setting the stage for the next level of my own personal like challenge, and like the information that I need to share with the collective. So that's now starting to make manifest, like because some of it is about sex energy and healing the collective, like, relationship dynamic, which is again via our bodies, but there's certain conversations that need to happen among groups of men in their sacred malehood or manhood, and then there's connections to be made between women, and that's very much this sort of polarity coming into balance. That's why, for me personally, working with women has felt safer. Pioneering a business with other women, that's like the feminine reclaiming her sacred space, right? Like, women need our safe space. Women need time for ourselves. Oh, that's really cool, Truth Kindness. Well done. Great manifestation. So yes, the divine feminine is reclaiming her sacredness, which then empowers the next level of divine masculine to then, they need to find a new way, because, like, it's all shifting, right? It doesn't look like how it used to look. Now men coming together is for their healing, for them to expose their shame, their wounds, their stuff, right? So that next level, men and women come together to be having more conscious conversation about the depth of our disempowerment, the depth of our enslavement, and, you could say the depth of our sexual abuse, because in my just perspective and opinion, the way we were taught about sex, the way we were programmed how to have sex, is deeply, deeply distorted and really rather abusive as well. So once we heal our bodies and we start to sort of expose the wounds, then we can start healing, and then we can start to have more harmonious conversations, because a lot of people right now, I feel, and I've had this experience as well, is that they're just maybe attempting to have certain conversations and just feeling attacked constantly, or feeling like we're putting stuff on each other. And once you start doing this deeper emotional work, you realize that, because that becomes your new default. Like, other people aren't out to attack us, but there's a lot of emotional backlog that most of us have to work through, which is why we're so reactive, which is why we often need space and time to sit back, to sit and sift with our energy vortex, right? Because we've all been almost programmed to manifest on a certain level, and that level of manifestation is shit, and it's shit for the planet as well. So now we're having to integrate that shittiness, be like, okay, guys, we've been manifesting kind of low-level bullshit. We need to up-level to continue to survive in a way that we're desiring, right? So we kind of have to shift that energetic backlog from within the light of our awareness in the emotional body, the cellular body, and then upgrade and level up and become true, sovereign, empowered, loving, harmonious, epic creators, right? And really stand in the truth of that knowing. And to me, again, the truth of this knowing is, I call it the divine feminine, simply because as a representation of a reversal of the world's thinking, or a tidal turn in how the energy flow goes, we've been having this rise of male dominance for progress, for like valid human experience, the rise of male dominance, but eventually that rise became disempowered because it was imbalanced, because an extended aspect of the rising of male dominance was then the oppressing or putting down. For fear of losing that dominance, let's just squash out the feminine. But now, as we're the ones who've been squashed out for millennia, we're suddenly going, wait, you can't survive without us. And so now we're having to speak up, right? But we women have to learn how to speak up in our truth without their approval, without their love, you know, without that, and also without having to share our voices or be the exact same. We don't want to be the exact same. I want my big strong man protector, you know, like we still have those inherent primordial needs and desires for love, for attention, for compassion, for connection, for belongingness. We all desire that and we all deserve that, but we don't desire or deserve it in weird codependent ways. We don't desire and deserve it when we're in a loving relationship but we can't be honest. Or, for example, like a man's in a loving relationship, but he can't talk to his girlfriend about what's going on downstairs. Or he, you know, feels too ashamed to talk about something he's hiding, some secret he's hiding, right? And then we wonder why we stray. And I know that from my own past, like that's part, I felt like I couldn't like survive, or that like I would be banished from appreciation from this person, and so I stray because like I'm not sure what to do, and I don't know how to communicate those underlying fears and desires. And I'm talking like 10-15 years ago, right? Like early days in my early 20s in these kind of situations, again having had these spiritual awakenings, looking at what's happening in my life, being like, man, why am I doing this? Hence, the way to up-level or shift our patterns or shift our density is by looking at patterns, not our behavior, not looking at what other people are doing or not doing. We have to be able to introspect enough to see our own energetic patterns to dismantle them. Because if we can get to the root of the energy, then the whole physical reality sorts itself out. That's the experience for me. The learning never ends, though. That's the truth of it, which continues to astound me. I'm like, oh, here's another one. Conditional love feels good. We have males and females, but the masculine and feminine can be either. I am a male with feminine energy. We need a good... Exactly. That's a valid point, the vest. It's like, yes, on the world scale, it's still dominant, like male and female oppressed, but really the truth of what you're reflecting back is that knowing that as beings, we have to find balance from within self, which means we as beings are the sole responsible creators for creating a harmonic balance between our male and female polarities, our masculine and feminine polarities. That inner balance from within ourselves is what creates greater balance in the relationships around us, and or highlights imbalances, right? Where hence we do the deeper work to rise up again and find greater integrity, greater balance, and harmony, right? And so this Venus going depth into the underworld, it's like she's digging out everything that isn't in her power, everything that doesn't belong in the new world, everything that doesn't belong in the new paradigm, everything that isn't in alignment with the truth of her love, right? Because Mother Earth is like a loving planet, and all this imbalanced energy has just been kind of raping her, and now she's like, fuck you guys, actually. And we're like, yeah, but we have to change. That's the beauty of this rising into balance, is that it's giving us the momentum and the will to make these monumental changes, to team up, to get over our bullshit, to get over our lack, to get over ourselves and just say, let's fucking do this, right? And this is us as men and women alike standing in the truth of their power, saying, yeah, I'm not going to tolerate that, or I can't do it like that, I can't do it like this anymore, right? And I gotta say, I am feeling a little bit like relieved. It's still heavy duty flow of energy from within, but like, because I'm aware of these karmic completion cycles, I know that I'm on the like this is a mega powerful fucking surge again, but yet I'm aware that I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like this time the pattern is actually turning in my favor. This time there's leverage for me to really see the value in myself, so that I don't just sell my soul, right? So I don't just give it all away, but because I'm seeing that pattern, I'm like, oh, And that's the whole lie of the system. That's the whole lie of the patriarchy in the first place. We can never get it away. We can never be lost. We can never make that which is eternal and infinite anything other than eternal and infinite. So we are that eternity. We are that infinity. And to align ourselves with anything that is not worthy of that eternal infinite self, that's what's coming up. That's the density, that's the pain, that's the control patterns that are coming up for us right now, are anything that isn't aligned with the highest potential of our vision for love. Because that's Venus. Venus is the love. Venus is the beauty. Venus is the sexuality. Venus is the sexual creative life force that we all are. And so no wonder we're seeing those lids being lifted in the collective. No wonder we're pioneering courses to help people change their daily habits, because Mother Earth is asking us to, right? Mother Earth is crying out from within us saying, please, please start working on making these sorts of changes, not focusing on these old ways, right? So it's really exciting, you guys. And like, again, I feel really excited about the direction that Alta Love is going in. I'm really excited about sharing Zenful Zero Waste and Unplug for Freedom and vegan love. And I'm excited to share with you the continuing sort of expansive dynamic of this whole being in our sovereignty and working in collaboration, being in our sovereignty and working in partnership, and how we ebb and flow with that. And I'll continue to share with you guys as Katie and I continue to work together and share together, because between us, we continue to learn such profound shit. Like, so much. And between us, I think there's like this infinite creative elixir, right? So I'm looking forward to, like, obviously not just sharing what we're creating together for you guys and like being like, hey guys, look at our awesome products, buy them for us, blah, blah, blah. But on an interpersonal level, on like actually running a business and actually getting to know, and how do you trust people, and how do you like, basically, how has the Fearless Life Guide helped assist in this greater expansion for Alta Love, and me as a woman, and Katie as a woman, and Frances as a woman? This sort of like, these 4 pillars. There's another one, I won't mention her name because she's sort of like a silent member of the team. But these like 4 female pillars of this company, and how it's shapeshifted over the years. And actually, it's something that I got yesterday, was that yesterday I was a little bit too much in some shit yesterday, but when I was vibing a little bit higher and then up and down, part of me was thinking, okay, some of these shares now, I guess what I need to share with you guys is like more a little bit just about like where the journeys come from for me, how it's come to be, and then like how life is for me, like how my kind of perspective is and how it's always been. And I just, this is, I guess, the first time I'm really suddenly in this space where I can like clearly share with you guys like this, what it's like, I guess, living in this sense of union, living in this sort of sense of not pure union because I'm still finding balance, but living from a point of attraction of giving of self, of love, because that's been like that pure point of attraction. And I've never been able to compartmentalize, you know, I've never been able to like, yeah, because everything's been so much about like making change and making this mish, and it's just been so much about giving, and like, and so I want to share with you this sense of like this I guess the rewards when you're really committed, when you're really earnest, when you're really dug in, when you're really deep inside yourself and in like your belief in love and all this kind of stuff. So like what it's like from that perspective, and the kind of lessons that I've learned from this perspective and continue to learn. And I guess part of me wants to share it as well, because from within myself, I'm aware of the great paradoxes, because inside myself, I feel so often like this broken, like sad child, just be like, please, please people, please help, please make things better. But then there's polarity in my life experience where there's like this hard fucking bitch edge as well, where for me personally, I call it the intuitive sword, but I've had situations in the past where like when the intuitive sword has spoken, it has well and truly spoken. And oftentimes what the intuitive sword is showing me is like underlying parasitic or like vampiric attachments, which once I see them, I'm like, hell no, boom, boom, boom. Like, I gotta cut that shit out of my life. And that's par for the course, I guess, for a few people, like entrepreneurs or like people who really go after something. There's often, like, they all talk about it, as far as like, there's often these moments of mass exodus where, yeah, like, if people aren't really vibrating, if people aren't really doing the work, they get cut because the vision is so taking over one's life force. And this is something that's happening to me and been accumulating and picking up speed over the last few years, since the leaps for me over my life have just kind of gotten bigger and more frightening and more weird and more non-obvious. And so I just keep taking these leaps, and each time I like arrive at these new places being like, holy fuck, okay, new reality, here I am. And then, having learned all the stuff you learn from all the past cycles, you get to these new points, integrating more fullness of who you are, integrating more power in who you are. And so it becomes more obvious how you exchange that, because you're worthy, because you're not a slave anymore. And that's like the big shift I've suddenly woken up to and be like, wait a minute, I am worthy. And what I do is valuable. And why do I have to keep giving it away for people to want to show up and hang out, you know? And if you have to give everything you have for people to want to show up for you, that's not a fair exchange. You know, that's from that place of the empath or the sensitive, or just people like, if you guys aligned with like never really having made enough money, or like kind of always showing up and giving lots, and then having people sort of like play games with your head or something, or your emotions for that matter, then this Venus in retrograde is really going to stir shit up. This Venus in retrograde is really going to trigger our worth. It's really going to trigger our sense of love and desire as well. As in, for me, right, like straight up, I'm like, what do I really want? What am I really worth? You know, what can I really give people? And what do I need to focus on creating for myself, just for me? I know, it's so true. We think our work is to prove our worth, when really our work is to own it. Own the worth that we are. And that's all the weird paradox of all this stuff. Like, you know, the owning of the worth has just come from me in every cycle, not giving it away, not devaluing it, not constantly making everybody else feel better about their worth when I still have to feel like I have to give all of my worth to everybody else for them to feel worthy. Instead of going, wait, this is my worth, this is your worth, this is where we all stand, and let's all meet in the middle. Let's create something from all those different points of view and bring it into the center to create something bigger for everybody. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, and I think that's what true kind of creative partnership is, in fairness. And this is, again, the macro, the micro. This is us really kind of having to face things and look at things in our own personal lives. And you guys know the flow with All to Love. It's like, we all love each other no matter what. That's loving people in their sovereignty. That's loving people like they're free, is that even when we come up against these little hurdles, you can still love people. And that's always been my choice. I never like want to talk bad about people or like blame people for how I feel, but I also can't take on other people's stuff. And sometimes I do, and then you don't realize until you're like, yeah. So you just, it's time to really disentangle any remaining lavar, any remaining disempowered entities or threads or programs that you have running. This Venus in retrograde phase is really going to give us the opportunity to dig it out. And like, just like that for me, I'm something like, now that I've come back to myself, I can now have time and space to focus on finding that balance in my life. Because there was an imbalance. There was an imbalance in seeking. There was an imbalance in, you know, wanting to get that approval. It's a path of continuously saying, I can do that. You kind of laugh at the tests that come now. It's fun. Yeah, I know. It's like, I can do that. And I am worthy of that. And I can have that. And I am having that. And I am creating that. And I am living this way. And all you need sometimes is to wake up to that and appreciate everything you got and realize you know, you got it. You don't need to give everything you have to have that. We don't need to suffer. You know, this is also part of the old paradigm that's dying, is that we don't have to suffer for a reward. We can just be a reward. We can just have the reward. That's another thing, though, that I'll go into greater depth at another point. Otherwise, I just wanted to like share the Venus retrograde love because it's deep. Certainly for me, I imagine for a lot of the females in the collective, this is going to be particularly feely. And again, because it's Venus going retrograde, it could well, and because Mars is charging ahead, it could bring up a lot of underlying codependencies. It can bring up a lot of underlying imbalances in our love relationships, in as far as like really digging into the truth of what we desire in our life, you know, and just being completely unashamedly honest about that regardless, and then living it. And that suddenly, again, is a big shift for me, is suddenly like focusing on my love life, my romantic life. That's been such a fucked up, twisted area for me. But very suddenly, because I've been working through some stuff in these last few days, it's like, no, I don't do the Chinese horoscopes. Yeah, because loads of stuff's been coming up. Suddenly I can see it, and now I have the clarity to create it. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I can just focus on me. You know, like that's like, whenever it just comes back to me, it's like, oh yeah, I get to focus on creating these things and having a certain amount, you know, because that martyrdom victim story is now so tiring. And then having seen it yet again, I'm just like, huh? I don't want to do that anymore. Hello, Angel Light. We are transiting triple Scorpio right now, and you keep popping up in my recommendations. Do you have Scorpio in your chart? Oh, hi. No, I don't. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, like, loads. I know I have Aries and a lot of planets, and I'm Aries rising. I'm Capricorn. No, I'm Aries sun, Capricorn rising, Virgo moon. I don't know where. I think Scorpio is in Jupiter. I know that my Venus is in Aquarius. I'm not sure of the degrees. Why? What's your favorite color? Oh, that's a tricky one. Somebody recently asked me about my favorite color, and he made it very clear that his... Anyway. And then I just love all the colors of le rainbow. So, you know. But I definitely go through phases. Like, look, what's my favorite color? I don't bloody know. I just love all of the colors. Because look at, like, that's my laptop with all the, like, the rainbow colored hearts. So it's like, I just love rainbow. I just love, like, color. All of the colors are gorge. Anywho, you guys, I think that's it for me this morning. I'm having to do some deep, like, healing and clearing. I've been shifting and moving again. To be myself more, to heal this deep-seated trauma. I know. Well, just sit. Just keep sitting with it. Keep clearing out. Remember to work with the emotions as and when they pop up as well, because that stuff's super powerful. Yeah. So, yeah, I've set up my, like, meditation space. I've come back to myself. I've suddenly, like, integrated. It's just, you know, these cycles are really weird. But I've got my sage. I've got my, like, it's all just there. And I'm like, whoa, I need to heal from, because when we sometimes, like, when we suddenly realize we're in another pattern and it's a codependent one, there's an abusive cycle, right? So sometimes when we kind of remove ourselves from the abuse, we have to cleanse. We have to kind of, so yeah, I'm going to be doing ceremony today, sleeping, resting, and finding greater balance in my day-to-day, week-to-week working life, because I've suddenly seen that deeper imbalance thanks to Venus in retrograde. And you there, Angel 111111. Due to Aluna Ash, I've been kind of feeling out for, I don't know, a few more astrological insights. So be in touch. Let me know if we can hook that up. Do you have insights? I don't know where my Scorpio is, but we can find out. Anywho, you guys, have a great day. I hope that was useful to you. Maybe even a little entertaining. I'm not sure. Guys, buy the All to Love courses. Yay! Caught the last 20 minutes. I'm laying awake at almost 3 a.m. Hello, Evangeline Glasgow. You rock. Oh, feeling it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Right? Feeling it? Intense, right? We will. Yeah, message me, email me. Any of you guys at any point, at down the road, if you want to check out ultalove.com, Team Love, we are getting ready to launch. You're going to get to meet Katie Finch, who is going to help you go zero waste, or at least help you make more informed decisions. That's what this is all about. Like learning new information about how we fill up our landfills or how we consume, and then going, yeah! And then Katie and I are just here being like, don't worry, try this. Try this. And there's a lot of research, preparation, planning that's gone into creating these online courses for you. And I think they're really fun. And I think she's like a super good teacher and can share the wisdom with a bit of lightness and a bit of cuteness and all of that kind of stuff, and not be too hard on you, but also give you some really, really important information when it comes to like, hello, we have to clean up our planet because we're just filling it up with a bunch of trash and kind of killing its ecosystem because we're not dealing with our shit. But in all seriousness, like, right? This is part of why Katie and I do it, is because when we look at the world, it's like, oh my God, the animals are dying and the sea creatures are dying. All because we need our plastic bottles or something. And we're just like, no, that can't be the way, right? So yeah, 144 pounds. See that, guys? See that little cheeky sacred number? 144 pounds for our online courses. The next one's going to be launched January 2019, Spirituality Simplified, which is just going to be an 8-week course of yoga and meditation with moi and Katie. You guys got any events coming up? No, but we are in the very early preparatory stages of, so when we complete the 4 pillars, right? We've launched our Zenville Zero Waste, and there's stuff going on behind the scenes which need to be done, and then there's a trip to Indonesia planned because we have, hi Nestor, there's a trip to Indonesia planned because we have friends in Indonesia which we're still crowdfunding for. FYI, if you guys want to give some money to the crowdfunding campaign, it's Alta Love Lombok on Just Giving. If you want the details, I'll put them in the link below. I should do that anyway, mental note. And then the 3 more, so Spirituality Simplified, and then Vegan Love, so helping you guys, or just giving you, again, some information about veganism. And then the final course is Unplug for Freedom. So when that course is launched, Unplug for Freedom, probably early summer next year, we are tentatively planning having an Unplug for Freedom retreat, but it's also kind of a big closing, woohoo! Alta Love now has loads more products online to sell you guys, which are going to have a positive impact and help you access higher consciousness. And if you want to join us in the French Alps to do some paragliding and be free and unplug from your devices, we're going to give you an opportunity to do that. But it's going to be mega, like, intimate. It's not a huge, like, yeah. So only a few spaces for that. But yeah, that will be next summer, sort of end of May, early June. But again, nothing set in stone. But what is set in stone is like having shit to sell. It's been a long time coming, you guys. I'm excited to have more to give you, more value to share with you, and to be finally in a position where, like, I so much believe in it that, like, I ain't got no issues. This is selling stuff, you guys, because it's good. But I guess that's like how most of us are. Like, to be in our integrity, we really need to have a passion for it, and the money stuff brings up shit for all of us, and yet I would never want to take anything from you guys, but if you've got a spare 144 pounds sitting around, then buy my course. Buy Alta Love course. It's not mine exclusively, but you know what I mean. Buy the Alta Love course that Katie Finch and I have created, because we're proud of it. And it's like a big next level step for Alta Love. So if you want to support, I really appreciate it, you guys. Have an awesome day. Love you loads. Peace out, mofo lovers.